Let's talk about hybrid cloud. You hear that term everywhere, right? But for so many, it just means you've got some stuff in a data center and some stuff somewhere in the cloud. Well, that's not really a strategy. It's just what happened. Today, we're going to cut through the buzzwords and talk about what a real hybrid cloud strategy looks like and why it's become absolutely critical for managing risk, cost, and compliance.
And this quote, it really hits the nail on the head. Everyone wants a hybrid cloud, but there's this huge gap between the request and actually understanding what it takes to build one that creates real business value. So over the next few minutes, we're going to bridge that gap. I'll give you the framework to turn that common request into a serious competitive advantage.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a real definition for hybrid cloud as an engineered capability. Then we'll get into the actual business drivers, the why. After that, we'll look at the architectural patterns, how to move from a simple project to a true platform. And finally, we'll land on the core strategic imperative for you and your business. All right, first things first, let's get our definition straight, because moving beyond that simple idea of just having servers in a few different places, well, that's the first and most crucial step. You know, the shift in thinking on this slide is everything. The common view on the left, it's totally passive. It just describes a situation you're in. But the view on the right, the engineered capability, that's active. That is a strategic ability that you build. It's the difference between having two separate, messy toolboxes versus having one integrated system where you can move any tool you need seamlessly. So here's the absolute heart of it. A true hybrid cloud lets you move your applications and your data without having to redesign them every single time. That phrase, without replatforming, that's the magic word. Because avoiding that rebuild saves you an incredible amount of time, money, and risk. That ability, that freedom to move without rebuilding, that's the strategic flexibility you're really paying for. And this right here, this is the blueprint. To get that flexibility we're talking about, your entire architecture has to be built on these 4 pillars of portability. And trust me, they are non-negotiable. You miss even one, and the whole thing becomes unstable. Now, most organizations get the first one, right? Compute portability. We have containers and Kubernetes for that. But where most hybrid strategies completely fall apart is they ignore the other 3. If you don't have a consistent way to move your data, manage who has access, and operate everything from a single playbook, you don't have a hybrid cloud. What you have is a complex, fragmented, and really risky mess. You have an accident, not an architecture. Okay, so we've defined the what. Now for the really important part, the why. Why is building this capability so critical for your business right now? Well, it really boils down to these 3 big board-level concerns. First up, sovereignty. With regulations like GDPR and new data laws popping up everywhere, being able to control exactly where your data lives is no longer optional. Second, resilience. Let's be honest, putting all of your critical systems with just one provider is a huge business risk. And third, of course, is cost. The power to dynamically move workloads to the most cost-effective spot is a massive lever for financial efficiency. And let's make this tangible. For those really intense, bursty workloads, think AI and machine learning, a smart hybrid approach can slash costs by 30 to 50%. And it does that while making sure your sensitive training data never leaves a compliant jurisdiction. And hey, it isn't just about dollars and cents. A solid hybrid strategy can be a huge part of your sustainability goals. By smartly placing workloads in the most energy-efficient data centers, we're seeing companies cut their emissions by 20 to 30%. So you get the why. The next big question is how. And this isn't just some technical decision you hand off to your engineers. This is a fundamental strategic choice about what your business truly prioritizes. Now, don't worry about understanding every single box and line on this slide. The key strategic decision is what's being shown here. On the left, you've got what's called a parallel or air-gapped model. Think of them as 2 completely separate systems. It gives you maximum security, but it's like running 2 separate companies. On the right, you see a federated model. Here, a shared management layer connects everything, giving you that single pane of glass to see it all. It's more flexible, but it requires much tighter governance. Your choice here defines everything. Pattern A is basically your fortress. You choose this path when compliance demands absolute verifiable separation. We're talking classified government data or super-regulated financial systems. The trade-off is pretty obvious. You're basically paying to run 2 of everything, which ramps up your operational costs. Now, pattern C is the one we see most often in large companies. It's the strategic balance. It lets you enforce strict data residency rules wherever you need to, but you get to manage it all through one consistent operational model. The trade-off? The complexity moves from running two systems to engineering that shared governance layer to be absolutely rock-solid and secure. Think of this table as a great decision-making framework for your next strategy session. It maps each architectural pattern to its best use case, and just as importantly, the main trade-off you have to be willing to accept. Use this to guide that critical conversation between your business leaders and your technology teams. Choosing a pattern is one thing, but actually implementing it successfully, that's another beast entirely. The key is to shift your mindset. This isn't a one-off IT project. It's the creation of a long-term strategic platform for your entire business. And this is where that classic build versus buy debate always comes up. Look, you can try to build a hybrid cloud from a bunch of open source parts, but it is incredibly complex and frankly, very risky. A managed platform is designed to solve these exact problems, giving you automated compliance, simplification, and a level of continuous assurance that's just about impossible to get when you're building it all yourself. You have to treat this adoption like a strategic journey, not a frantic sprint. We see it happening in 3 clear phases. Phase 1 is all about getting the foundation right, a consistent baseline. Phase 2 is about making it work, adding governance and data management. And phase 3, that's where you unlock the full strategic value with automated, policy-driven decisions about cost and compliance. So let's bring this all home. What's the one thing you absolutely need to take away from this explainer today? It's this. Success isn't about buying a piece of technology. It's about enforcing discipline. You have to design for portability from day one. You have to treat data and identity as top priorities, not afterthoughts. And you absolutely must build automated, continuous auditing right into the fabric of the platform itself. And that really brings us to the final, crucial question you need to be asking your team. That setup you have right now, with systems in multiple places, is it a deliberate, engineered architecture designed to deliver real strategic value? Or is it just an accident of history? The answer to that question will define your future agility, your security, and ultimately, your competitiveness.